Cleetus McFarland walked into Rockingham with millions of YouTube fans watching his every move. He was not just another driver trying to make a race. He was the internet's biggest gearhead, and NASCAR fans knew it. But qualifying told a different story. He went out first, had no benchmark to follow, and later said 3 words that nobody expected to hear from a guy with his reputation. Before we get to what happened at Rockingham, you need to understand something about Cleetus McFarland that a lot of NASCAR fans might not fully know. His real name is Garrett Mitchell. He built one of the biggest automotive YouTube channels in the world from nothing, and his channel is not about tutorials or car reviews. It is about speed, real speed. He buys cars, strips them down, builds them up, and races them. His audience has watched him grow from drag racing his own Corvette in a field to owning an actual oval racetrack. That track is called Freedom Factory. It sits in Bradenton, Florida, on the grounds of the former DeSoto Speedway. Cleetus bought it, turned it into an event venue. He fills the stands with his own fans, hosts his own racing events, and runs cars at full speed in front of crowds that paid real money to be there. This is not a YouTube stunt. He has put real investment into building something that takes racing seriously. Plus one, his subscribers understand what he is about. They have watched him push cars to their limits for years. They have seen him crash, rebuild, and come back stronger. So when Cleetus announced he was entering the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts series, his audience did not laugh. They treated it like the next chapter in a story they had been watching build for a long time. And that is exactly where the problem starts. When a standard driver makes his debut in a NASCAR National Series, a few reporters cover it, a few fans follow along, and the paddock treats it like routine. When Cleetus McFarland makes his debut, the story is already trending before his car ever hits the track. His audience does not just watch, they share. They pull in fans from outside NASCAR. They turn a qualifying session into a moment that feels bigger than a qualifying session has any right to feel. That kind of attention does not help a rookie find speed. It adds weight. And that weight showed up at Rockingham faster than anyone expected. Stay with this, because what happened in qualifying is not the whole story. What Cleetus said after qualifying is the part that matters most. Some people outside of NASCAR looked at this and assumed it was a celebrity cameo. A content creator paying an entry fee, getting a handshake from the series, and rolling around for a few laps to collect footage for his channel. That assumption was completely wrong. The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts series is a legitimate national series. The drivers in that field are not there for content or exposure. They are serious competitors who race for a living or who are actively working toward doing so. These drivers are building resumes, chasing sponsorships, and trying to get on a team's radar. Nobody in that field has time or patience for someone who is not there to genuinely compete. Rockingham is a serious oval. It demands real car feel and real commitment. You cannot fake your way around it. The track rewards drivers who are patient getting into the corner and then fully committed getting out. It puts load on the tires in ways that punish hesitation and reward confidence. A driver who is not fully trusting his car through the turns is going to lose time in exactly the places that matter most. This is the kind of track that exposes gaps in experience very fast. Cleetus came in with preparation. He had a crew working with him. He had equipment that could compete. He had put in time before arriving at Rockingham. But there is a specific type of knowledge that only builds up through running National Series oval races repeatedly. It comes from doing the same thing at similar tracks, in similar conditions, under similar pressure, until your body stops fighting the car and starts working with it. That knowledge cannot be compressed into a preparation window before a debut weekend. The track does not care about subscriber counts. And in qualifying, the clock proved exactly that. Here is where the Rockingham weekend delivered its most specific and most brutal lesson. Cleetus McFarland went out first in qualifying. If you do not follow racing closely, that might sound like nothing. It is not nothing. Going out first in qualifying is one of the hardest spots to be in when you are still learning how a race car at this level feels at full speed on a new track. When you go out first, the board is empty. There is no lap time to chase. There is no information from anyone else's run about what the track is doing that session. You do not know if conditions are fast or slow. You do not know if the line you have been working on all weekend is the line that will produce your best lap when qualifying actually starts. Every decision you make has no frame of reference outside of your own head. Experienced drivers handle this differently than rookies. They have a mental baseline built from years inside race cars on ovals. They know roughly what a fast qualifying lap should feel like, based on how the car loads up entering the corner, how long the straightaways pull at speed, and how the car responds to the specific surface they are on that day. That internal clock does not come from talent alone. It comes from repetition. From qualifying sessions stacked on top of each other across years of doing exactly this, Cleetus McFarland does not have that clock yet. Not for this level. Not for these cars. Not in this kind of pressure environment on a track he has not run before at National Series speed. So he went out first, empty board, no benchmark, full pressure. And he made the kind of decision that rookies make when their instincts warn them and their experience does not know how to push through the warning. He held back. He did not push the lap the way the lap needed to be pushed. And remember what we told you at the start of this video. After qualifying, he said 3 words that nobody expected. We are getting there right now. After qualifying, Cleetus McFarland did not walk to his hauler and start talking about car balance or setup changes. He told the truth. He said he wussed out 3 words. Direct. No spin. No cushion of technical language underneath them to soften the landing. In professional racing, that kind of admission almost never happens. When a driver has a rough qualifying session, the language usually shifts toward the car. The balance was not right. The car was tight on entry. The track was changing underneath them. These are not always false. Sometimes they are completely accurate. But they are also a reliable way to put distance between yourself and the result, and most drivers use that distance automatically. Cleetus McFarland did not use it. He put the result directly on himself. He said the pressure of going out with nothing on the board got into his head. When the moment came to fully commit, he did not fully commit. He felt the nerves of the situation and pulled back when he should have pushed through. That is a hard thing to say publicly. It is harder when millions of people are about to see the clip. But here is why that admission is actually more useful than a clean qualifying run would have been. A driver who does not understand why he struggled cannot fix it. A driver who identifies the exact moment, the exact cause, and says it out loud without flinching has already done the mental work that separates drivers who improve from drivers who make the same mistake twice. Cleetus knew what happened the moment it happened. He knew while he was still in the car. He came in and said it straight because he respects the sport enough to be honest with it. That is not weakness. That is the right foundation for getting better at something real. And coming back to what we said when this video started, that is why his debut matters more than a typical debut. Millions of people watched the learning curve happen in real time. Not packaged for YouTube. Not polished for the channel. Real. Here is the part of this story that does not get enough attention. The gap between running cars at Freedom Factory and competing in a NASCAR National Series race is not one step. It is multiple steps taken in one jump. And most people on the outside looking in do not understand how wide that gap actually is until they watch someone go through it. Cleetus McFarland is not a casual driver. He has a real background behind the wheel. He has been building real speed over real years in front of his audience. But even with that foundation, Rockingham showed that the specific demands of a National Series oval race hit differently than anything in his background had prepared him for. Going out first. No benchmark. Millions of people watching. A paddock full of drivers who race for their livelihood. That combination would challenge any rookie. For a debut weekend, it is about as difficult a set of circumstances as qualifying can produce. And he came out of it with something more valuable than a fast lap time. He came out with an honest read of exactly where he is. That kind of self-awareness is rare in any competitive sport. It is also the starting point for every driver who eventually figures this level out. Cleetus McFarland admitted he wussed out at Rockingham. Now, every NASCAR fan, every subscriber on his channel, and every driver in that paddock knows two things about him. First, he is serious enough about this to show up to a legitimate National Series race and actually compete. Second, he is honest enough about what went wrong to say it without dressing it up. +1, that is not a bad way to begin a NASCAR career. Cleetus McFarland admitted he wussed out at Rockingham. But the driver who admits the mistake and understands it clearly is always more dangerous the second time around. The question now is what he does with what Rockingham taught him.